Well, hello and welcome. My name is Jason or Jason CF Media. Today I am joined by a wonderful Masters athlete, Troy Smith,
Oh.
who will be competing in the... You knew it was you because I said Masters.
No, you said wonderful.
Oh, yeah, well, wonderful so far. Let's see by the end if you keep the moniker. Yes, who will be competing at the International Functional Fitness World Championships in Budapest, Hungary on the... When, Troy?
13th, 14th, and 15th. 2 weeks now. 2 weeks today, actually.
Yeah, exciting. Well, I think
Very
this
exciting.
time we'll already be on the plane or flying or whatever. No, hold on.
Well, hopefully
Friday,
I'll already be.
we'll already be there.
Already be there.
I've just realised I missed my flight. Oh,
dear.
well, okay. And joining Troy and myself is Troy's coach, actually, James Fyles from X-Lab CrossFit. So welcome, James. I'm going to be leaning heavily on your experience.
That's fine. That's all good.
And also to call out Troy when he says, "Yeah, I'm going to smash this workout." That you can
Yeah, well, yeah, that's I feel like that's half the job, I'd say. So yeah.
Well, Jason, you know me.
Yeah. Also, Troy, I've realised I've already made a big mistake because I've said you might smash this workout, and I know I'm going to be held accountable immediately for saying that.
It's not a workout, Jason. You should know it's a test.
Yeah. Well, I hope that I see you there with pen and pencil in hand and not a drip of sweat on your forehead because it's just a test. So don't worry about it. And also, if I call it workouts and then people correct me in the comments, drives engagement. So
okay.
Win-win-win.
It's a deliberate
mistake, and not that I just made a mistake.
Okay.
So what we are doing today is analyzing the tests that have been announced. They were released yesterday as of recording. So you guys have gone through this before. This isn't your first time competing at the IF3 World. So you sort of know the structure or the format of the 6 different tests, what they're supposed to be testing. So I'm going to, as I said, lean heavily on your experience throughout this. But, well, we've got the website up. You can, of course, find the tests on the Instagram page as well if you like a nice, beautiful slide to look at instead of scrolling for a website. Or you can download the PDFs as well, where you've got all your movement standards and things that are quite important, I believe. But what I thought we'd do is if we go through the individual tests first, and then we'll we'll use it as a basis to see how they've been modified for teams and very importantly for Troy Masters athletes, or we could say how they've been made easier. We could say that, couldn't we, Troy?
Oh, that hurt. I literally felt that.
Yeah, well, especially when you get to the 55 to 59.
Jason, I remember that statement when you're 55. Yeah, I'm going to come back to you.
Yeah, you'll still be around when I'm 55.
Scaled back is the appropriate language, isn't it?
Scaled back, yes. Protecting our Masters athletes. I'm a Masters athlete, but I'm in that really awkward category where they're like, yeah, you still do everything everyone else does.
Yeah.
We're not going to make it any easier for you, not yet. So that's fun. So let's jump into these tests. Maybe before we do though, just like you've obviously looked through them before this. Any like first thoughts before we jump into it? Just kind of when you saw them, what was your immediate reaction without analyzing it too much? Did they look fun? Did they look tough? Did they look balanced? Like what would come to mind for you guys?
Shall I just quickly answer from my perspective, James?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was very excited at 7 o'clock last night, waiting for them to come through. And when they came through, you say I've done this before, Jason, and I have done many competitions, European competitions, 3-day competitions, but not actually IF3 competitions.
I thought you had.
No, not IF3, because IF3 has been missing from the UK. Obviously, there was a big gap. So I hadn't actually done any IF3, but I've done obviously other functional fitness competitions. I've done the European Masters Throwdown 3-day competition. So this structured format where you have 6 tests of endurance, strength, body weight, skill, mixed, and power is new. Obviously, we had the British trials, and the British Championships. So that was to that structure as such. But what attracted me to this was the structure, and I've been to many competitions, and sometimes it's a bit of potluck, if I'm honest. And will something hard come up, or will something hard not come up? I bumped into at the British Masters Championships a couple of years ago, and I remember people coming up to me saying, "Oh, isn't it good there's no handstand push-ups?" And I would go, "No, I wish there were. These are the separators." So the one thing I would comment on IF3 is the skills are more enhanced. I think there's more skill to it, and I've been learning pirouettes and God knows what else over the last 6 weeks since being fortunate to be selected by BF3. But when, in answer to your question, these tests all came through, I looked at them and thought, oh, I mean, apart from one where I look at it and think, I just got to get through that. It's not like going to the dentist, just get through it. And in fact, I did that one today at lunchtime before coming on here, which was the endurance test, which is the 4K bike and the 2K row. So I decided to throw myself in at that one at lunchtime. That was a nice lunch break. No, most of them, I would say they're really good. I'm really excited. There's one disappointing thing for me, and that was just where in our category under mixed, we don't get ring muscle ups, which is something I'm particularly good at. But, that happens to everybody, I'm sure, where they'll have one thing not in there that they're particularly good at. So, yeah. Same for everyone.
I mean, there's a lot of things in there that I'm not particularly good at, so that's but I think to your previous point, and I mean, maybe that is something that, because your comments about skills are downgraded quite often or completely removed, is something I've heard echoed often by masters athletes. But obviously, if one of your tests is skill, you can't remove all the skill elements of the workouts because you're testing skill at that point. So so any masters athletes that get frustrated with the lack of skills that are put in the the local comps you're going to, or the bigger comps that you're going to, well, look at maybe IF3 as a solution, because for sure you're going to have to do some skills, otherwise it's going to be hard for them to do a skill test. James, from your sort of not having to do the workouts yourself, but getting to watch other people do them, how do you feel about it all?
I think, as Troy's kind of touched on there, I think the big selling point of IF3 is that there's a really clear intent of each workout. And while that might go against kind of like your original CrossFit sort of methodology of unknown and unknowable, actually, like, we do know the things that we are trying to test broadly, and having a clear stimulus for each workout of this is an endurance test, this is a strength test, this is a skill test, like gives doesn't leave any guesswork as to how what the stimulus is. But there's also we don't know the individual elements that are going to come up, and so I think it's actually in many ways a better format. I absolutely echo what Troy has said there as well about, you do turn up to certain competitions and one year it's really high skill and the next year it's really low skill, and then the next year it's slightly different again. And I think, you're never going to get it right, because that's almost impossible. But this mitigates that massively by being like, right, we have a skills test, we have a strength test. So I think that's really cool. I think in terms of, we'll get into more of these as we go for each individual workout. I do think, as Troy said, there's still some improvements to be made in terms of how much they scale it back for masters. I think scaling back for masters is incredibly important, because the things that you can do once you're in your 50s versus when you're fresh and kicking at 25, they do there is a drop off, but it's not a cliff. And I think that's the problem that we see, is like there's this idea of like, oh, you get to 55 and it all goes tits up. It's like it just doesn't work like that. Troy's testament to that. The man does stuff that many 25-year-olds could barely dream of, so yeah,
and I guess as well there's the idea that masters athletes, now masters athletes have actually passed through multiple categories of being a masters athlete.
Exactly.
Whereas once upon a time it was like, oh, I want to compete, okay, here's a masters division, and
Yeah.
You know, you've maybe only been doing it a couple of years, but now you've got masters athletes that have been doing this for 10 plus years. They've gone through 2 categories, so they do have the skills they developed 10 years ago when they were younger, and it's nice that they can put them to the test now. Or you just get, you know, some outliers that come in and have been doing who knows what for the last 20 years, but for some reason they can still knock out huge sets of unbroken ring muscle ups. Who knows? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's start having a look at these tests. And so we've mentioned there's 6 different tests. We'll start with endurance. Troy's already mentioned not only that he knows what it is, but he's given it a go at lunchtime. So I mean, it can't be that hard a test then if you can just knock it out in your lunch break. But, so a 4,000 meter bike erg and a 2,000 meter row. Right. First thoughts, is this a good test of endurance, I suppose, is the first question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when you look at endurance, I was thinking about this today, and on paper, like, especially for CrossFitters, like, it's kind of boring, like, it's very simple, but actually in many ways, that's why it's a good test. Like, the whole point of endurance test is there shouldn't be a bottleneck of skill in there. There shouldn't be anything. It's a pure test of your cardio respiratory endurance, which is probably why Troy doesn't like it that much, and I can understand that. It would be my least favorite in many ways as well, but also you can't beat that basic level of, like, you just need to be aerobically fit to do this sport. So
so from I guess I've discovered now where my niche is in this conversation, which is good. So we've got athlete, we've got coach, and then we've got like media, basically. Because when I saw the test, obviously my immediate thought is this is boring to watch.
Yeah.
And what's interesting though is that would also be the thought, I imagine, of a lot of competition organizers in general. And it's why they probably wouldn't program something like this, because they would be like, oh, it's just not going to be an interesting spectacle. But to your point again, when you've got these it's kind of like the fact that IF3 are on rails in that they have to test these certain elements. They have to program something like this, even if it's not the most visually, you know, incredible thing we're going to see. It is just going to be, well, how hard can they go and get this work done, and how fast can they do it? I like that they end on the rower and not on the bike. I think we'll get better facials from people who kind of
I would agree.
You're so mean.
It's the media perspective, Troy. I'm so sorry.
Just thinking of those close-up shots.
Exactly. That is exactly what I'm thinking of, you know. I mean, I absolutely hate the bike erg. So
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just feel like I pedal and nothing happens. I don't know what's going on.
That might not be down to the bike erg, Jason.
Yeah. I know. But like when I'm, you know, considering I'm one of the shorter athletes as well, I can still like move a rower and keep up with the taller guys, the ones that put out more power.
Nice.
But you put us on a bike and, you know, they've shot off and I'm still
for sure,
pedaling on my way to the shops or something. I don't know. Okay.
I think it's a really interesting point though, what you raised actually, and it is exactly, I also had the thought that it is boring to watch, and I was thinking about that, of how you could improve that. And I think what you could do is you could have done that as shorter. You could have kept the same time domain and kept the amount of work, but you could have had 4 rounds, and you could have had them. You could have had multiple ergs, or you could have included like a ski erg, where they've got these 2 transitions. So it's like, you know, the person going to the ski erg, and if the ski erg is only 750 meters, for instance, you know, the first person to that ski erg is probably in a pretty good shot of taking the win. So that would make it more entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Actually, the first EMT I qualified for in 2016, the first workout, all of us had to do a 1K row into a 5K row.
Oh, yeah,
it was painful. And I did both of them very badly. But what they did to make it more interesting is they had a huge screen which Rogue connected all the rowers up to, and you could literally see the boats going across the river. And it was almost like watching a horse race on TV. It was quite good fun, apart from for me, because mine was right at the back. But I thought that made it a bit more interesting for people watching it, because you could see exactly what's going on. Whereas sometimes when you got these things on TV, you think, okay, what are they hitting? What are they doing? You know, unless you've got a good cameraman who's looking at the dial or whatever of the erg. You know, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean that's it, and I guess we don't know exactly what the setup will look like when we're there, what they will have done, but that's the thing. It's like if it was actually, you know, on water or on the road and they were biking and they were rowing, it's exciting because you can see the races. You know, you can see athletes like going back and
positioning.
forth. Whereas, you know, it might be like the closest race imaginable. There's like 5 of you that are just constantly changing the lead. But if we don't see that, then it's a bit like, oh, okay. Yeah. But maybe after the fact, when we see the times, we'll be like, oh wow, you know, these were close. There was, you know, seconds, you know, or less than a second between all these different people, sort of thing. So that could be exciting. But you know, it's an endurance test. What are you going to do? I mean, even you were at Rogue, Troy. You saw like events that finished on the rower, and it was sort of a bit like exciting. Oh, now they're rowing. Now they're all rowing.
It was exciting when the person put their arm up in the air and you knew there were only 5 strokes left. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'll run behind your row and put my hand up then. That's what and I don't. Does it change? It doesn't change for the Masters, does it? It's exactly the same.
No, it's thorough. It says all on
everyone.
The top there.
Okay. Yeah, 19 to 20 is the same. Okay, perfect. That's good. I'm just seeing if it says anything here. There is no finish, so you don't even have to run to the finish line.
Isn't that kind of them?
Over. Yeah, we don't get to see you wobble, kind of as you or get your.
That's a health and safety issue. I think it's a health and safety issue.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to know how many athletes are going through at the same time on this test.
Yeah.
Because you got to get 800 people through this test. So that's. Okay, individual test 2, strength. So it's like 2 parts, isn't it? So first of all, we've got every minute on the minute for 7 minutes, 1 snatch, 1 hang snatch, 1 overhead squat. That's increasing in weight each one. There's some sort of CO2 connected timings for the rower. Yes. So that means that they could push that up to a screen, right? Hopefully we'll
there is a big screen there. I know that there's a huge screen. Whether that's going to be connected to this, I've no idea.
Let's see. Well, they've got time to watch this video and then go and think about doing that, so that's fine. So 7 minutes of a kind of a snatch and overhead squat complex that increases in weight. Starts at 50 for the women, 85 for the men. So nice to have it all in kilograms as well, let's be honest. Followed by 5 minutes to find a 1 rep max snatch. And the snatch and the hang snatch, and also this 1 rep max anyhow. So I'm assuming that means it can be a power snatch or a full snatch. So that's good. Any thoughts on this test? Is this a good test of strength?
For me, it's a good test. And the format that is used of snatch is a format that I can actually do to a reasonable level. And I know in my age category, I'm there or thereabouts. So for me personally, I haven't got the beginning bit. The masters in our age category just go straight into the snatch complex.
Right.
So for me personally, funny enough, James gave me this exact complex 2 weeks ago. He seems to have a knack of picking these things out, but
Nailed it.
So yeah, he does. He's very good. But and I PB'd, so I PB'd my highest snatch in that complex.
Okay, which we'll keep a secret for now. We won't reveal what that is to your competition.
No, good idea. Thank you.
Yeah. But when he told me the numbers, I thought he meant pounds because I could not believe.
Can you believe it? Yeah, it's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I think these kind of tests where there's kind of like a pre-fatigue almost. So like the earlier EMOM is. Well, is it going to cause problems? Let's have a look. So let's look at indie males. So you got 85, then you're going to go 87.5, then you're going to go 90. 92.5, 95, 97.5, and they are going to finish out on 100 kilos there. At this level, like I think that's going to start to play in for some athletes. For the strongest, in many ways, it's going to feel like a really sort of aggressive but decent like warm up for them. But for weaker athletes, that's going to become a problem. Does it say with that of what happens if you fail it? Because, you know, getting up to 100 kilos in that complex is a lot of weight.
Right. First, I'm
Bless you,
going to
Jason.
apologize because I cannot stop sneezing, everybody. I'm so sorry.
That's all right, dude.
I am allergic to Troy, but we knew that. No,
like everyone else.
What it does say is that you have to complete it within the minute. So you can, I'm assuming you can fail the first lift and then rest 10 seconds and try again, kind of thing. You have to complete it within the minute, not start it. So we're not going to see people with, you know, a few seconds to go being able to kind of go for it.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Do you mean like if you fail minute 2, what happens?
So I don't know if I'm reading this right. So just scroll back up slightly on that.
Yeah.
So right up to where it just says about the
right.
actual EMOM. So every minute on the minute. Yeah. So they've predetermined what the weights are, right? So you start at 85 and then you add 2.5, so you get 87, and you finish there on 100 kilos.
Oh, so then it says athletes who successfully complete the last minute of the EMOM will immediately begin the 5 minutes. So I'm assuming, you know, some athletes will go out before that.
Pre-stages.
And I'm guessing their score will be what stage of the EMOM did you get to?
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Which I mean, if you had a lot of people that went out on like minute 6, that's going to clump a lot of people together. So I don't know if there's any. Well, I don't see how you would really have any kind of tie.
And sorry, just scroll back down then to the next bit. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to work out is exactly how. Just because we obviously looked at mainly at the master stuff. So until they can no longer successfully complete the complex at the required weight within the minute, or until 7 minutes have passed. At the 7-minute mark, every athlete that has successfully completed all 7 sets of the complex will begin a 5 minute. So yeah, so that kind of implies that if you miss in the EMOM and you can't complete it, that you're kind of done at that point. Which is tough. I think there may be some athletes who do that because in that shorter time frame, there's going to be, you know, the smaller athletes that's going to be pushing them potentially.
But then I guess if we go full back on that, this is a test of strength. Then you're not strong. I mean, I guess it means you're not strong enough. Like I'm not an amazing athlete. One of the few things I'm good at is, you know, like dropping into the bottom of the squat. So I'm like technically my snatch is quite good, but I'm also small and light. So strength wise, it's, you know, that's a big limiting factor for me. So as much as there's obviously quite a skill element here because of how technical a lift a snatch is compared to a clean, the strong guys are still going to lift more weight, right? If they've got a combination. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because it's sort of almost, you're going to have people that are, as you said, like fatiguing through the EMOM, and you're going to have people that is a great warm up. For that, because sometimes when we get that 1 rep max, you know, if you just get 3 lifts and you know, you've got to maybe start heavier than you'd probably like to because you warmed up 20 minutes ago, half an hour ago, then you've been waiting to come out. You've kind of cooled down again. You do your first lift that you thought you'd make easily, but actually it's not there. And then you're like, oh, now I've only got 2 left. What am I going to do? So I really like thinking to getting like the strongest 1 rep max we're going to see, letting them do this sort of warm up beforehand. Even the fact that, you know, even if they're so strong that they're like, well, I'm just going to power snatch all of these, then they have to overhead squat anyway. So it's also warming up the squat. So then when they get into that 5 minutes, they should really, you know, the bigger, stronger athlete, they should be absolutely primed to put up some good numbers, in my humble opinion. As
for sure. Coach. Yeah, no, I definitely think so. As you say, like if you're, you know, in the open division, you're probably going to have someone in there who's putting up, you know, definitely 110 plus snatches. You getting into the realm of 120s, maybe 130s, and, you know, the top level is like 140, depending on who shows up. Like, at the 100 kilos for that complex, as you say, they're going to feel like really, really good at the end of that. Assuming that, you know, everything else there being equal, and competition tends to just bring out the best in people. So you could see some really good numbers get chucked around there, I think. But I'll be interested to see how they do the scoring on that EMOM if you do bow out early.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it will also be timed in the sense of like, you know, you pick the because I guess somebody could complete, I don't know, let's say it's minute 4, and one person completes it straight away, another person, they fail their first lift or their second, and then they manage to get it done in the second sort of 30 seconds. Now they go into minute 5, they both fail.
Yeah.
Will it be the guy that got it done quickly?
Interesting. Yeah. If you make it on your first attempt. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, but we will leave that in the capable hands of the people that program the work.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there's lots of regulations here as well, but we're not going to go through that. And I do strongly recommend anybody that's watching this being like, oh, here we go. This is how I'll prepare. No, go and read the document. This is not enough for you. Individual test 3, body weight. 4 rounds for time, 5 chest to bar, 5 bar muscle ups, 5 chest to bar, 10 deficit parallel handstand push-ups, and then 15 box jump overs. And then there's like this little trick with the deficit handstands in the first round, the first one has to be strict. In the second round, the second one has to be strict. And what I like is that they wrote, and then in the third one has to be strict, etc. But it's only 4 rounds, so they could have just written in the 4th round, the 4th one is strict. But anyway, yes. So as a body weight test, how does that appeal to you?
From my point of view, I really like it. And obviously the Masters version, my age category is different, but it's the same elements, pull-ups, handstand push-ups, and box jump overs. And yeah, they're areas that I work on quite hard, albeit chest to bars, but pull-ups are obviously easier. So for me, I think the main difference is it's 3 rounds, not 4 rounds, for our age category, which is 55, 59, 60, 64, and 65 plus. They've got 3 rounds. I love handstand push-ups, and I mean love handstand push-ups. I wouldn't say I could do them all day long, but I'm not bad at them. And so for me, this will be one of my better tests. One of my better tests. I nearly slipped up there. Got you some extra viewers by saying the wrong word.
Yeah. So he was this is how good he is at it. He doesn't even need to use the right name. He can say whatever he wants.
Yeah, I think it's a cool test. The indie version having the bar muscle ups in there is cool. I will be interested to see. I'm assuming that there will be athletes who will do that. There may be some athletes who try and maintain that unbroken. I think you'll probably see some breaking after the bar muscle ups for a lot of them, but I think most will keep like 5 chest to bar into 5 bar muscle ups unbroken, probably. But you might see them come off after the bar muscle ups once fatigue kicks in. It depends on pacing ability, I would say. But actually, yeah, I mean, at the elite level, like a lot of those people are just going to do that unbroken, because actually switching from a chest to bar pattern into a bar muscle up pattern will actually be less grip for them, because they can rest at the top of the bar muscle up for a second. So yeah, you could well see that unbroken. The handstand push-ups, what I really like is the fact that they go 1 strict, 2 strict, 3 strict, and then 4 strict. That is going to catch some people out. Yeah. I really, really think that's cool. And the box jump overs are just there they're just some fatigue. If anything, they're your rest period to be able to get your arms back, which is cool. I do think it's a shame for you, Troy, that they've dropped it down to 3 rounds. I think they'd have been better keeping it at 4, but maybe reducing your reps slightly. Like they've already dropped you down to pull-ups, so just 20 pull-ups. But maybe they could have done 4 rounds, but maybe that was 18 pull-ups, 9 handstand push-ups, 14 box jumps, or 13 or whatever. I think a whole round off is a massive reduction in volume. I would like to see a reduction in volume, but I just wouldn't see it be quite as aggressive as 25%. So yeah, that's kind of that's my take on that one.
James is throwing up percentages now, so it was an easy percentage, but it's a really good way of looking at it, isn't it? If you remove a round and there's only 4 rounds, that is
it's big.
25% is a big chunk to take off, isn't it? Yeah.
It's massive. I'd like to see 5 to 10%. 10% would make the most sense to me, really. as I talked about, there's obviously a reduction as you get older, but it's not this sort of cliff that there seems to be.
Yeah. So they have done a reduction for the is that just for the age group, isn't it? The 19 to 20 age group, where they've just put it, and they've literally just knocked off 2 muscle ups. I think that's the only. Is that the only difference? I think so. Yeah. So yeah, knock just a few reps off, and that could have been. Oh, and also the deficit is less for the age group.
Yeah, I think they did a good job of that, like looking at the different age categories, that it's very gradual, the increments they did on that. And I think that was good, like really, really good. But then, yeah, as I say, to just suddenly drop that huge amount off into Troy's age category just seemed a little bit cut and dry, whereas they've been quite staggered in a lot of areas.
Yeah, I think it's going to be it'll be an interesting one to watch. I think as you were saying, like, if people can hold those first like 15 reps unbroken, that will be, that will look cool. Like, that will look good. Seeing people go from the chest to bar straight into the muscle up, back into the chest to bar. That's not. It's really interesting the way you're going from the chest to bar into the muscle up, back into the chest to bar. So it's sort of like an increase in difficulty and then a decrease. And then, as you said, with the deficit handstand push-ups, an increase in difficulty each round, in that you're being forced to do more reps strict when you're fatigued from the previous rounds. So I quite like that. I do like it would have been a simpler sort of solution to do it the opposite way around, right? It's like, first 4 strict, then 3, then 2, then 1, and we're making it easier as you get more fatigued. And instead they said no,
it's getting harder.
Yeah. Do you think anybody for speed would do more strict to begin with?
I think if you didn't, I'm trying to think, 6 cent. Yeah, I think if it wasn't deficit, and I think they, I read somewhere, I believe they might be on parallettes as well, which again makes it harder.
Yeah,
they are.
Parallettes.
I think if it wasn't deficit and it wasn't parallettes, then I think you would. I think given parallettes, I don't think so. It's too challenging. But bearing all those things in mind, that becomes a very juicy test on the shoulders, and pacing will be actually really important. Like, it looks really fast until you start to really analyze those details, and then you're like, actually, if you don't take some breaks earlier on and you just go, unless you are, Noah Olson 11 gymnastics, then you're gonna burn out when you hit that 3rd round.
Yeah, and when they go, like, it's not one of the things where they go and you shake them out and they come back, with a little bit of
go on.
Yeah, if you get to that 4th round, you've got 4 strict, and you're doing them in singles, like, you've thrown it, really.
I hope people are listening to that. Oh, that's a soundbite I use. Make a note of that.
Or the classic, I say that, and then everyone just goes and does it unbroken really fast, and I'm like, well, they're just better than I thought they were.
Yeah. Hey, it's the World Championships. They've got to be the best of the best in the world.
Very true.
This was the one that I went, really? Individual test 4 skill. So we're going, and again, this will probably be quite different for you, Troy, but so 3 seated legless rope climbs, and then also legless lowering is another, just another little detail, just to make it a little bit more tricky, more fatigue. Then 10-meter handstand walk, 1 full pirouette, then 10-meter backwards handstand walk. So we've seen those crop up a little. I've seen those in competition before. Then 2 seated legless rope climbs, 8-meter sideways handstand walk, left leading, followed by 8 meters sideways handstand walk, right leading, and then 1 seated legless rope climb. And only 6 minutes to get all that done. So I want to immediately ask you about the sideways handstand walks.
Yeah, I mean, that's not something I've even. Every time I think we're starting to catch up on those skill development pieces, something else comes out, and it's like, people are getting ridiculously good on their hands. And hats off to Troy. He's been working so hard on this stuff and has vastly improved. And is again a testament to that thing of, even at the ripe old age of 57, he's learning skills. He can walk on his hands much better than I can. Like phenomenally good at that stuff. But yeah, we haven't looked at some sideways handstand walking, so I guess you know what you're looking at in your off season, Troy.
Sideways handstand walks, or do we? Because that's the thing with IF3. Everything is standard. So if you don't, as a master 55-year-old, get sideways, you don't get sideways handstand walks. So what you need to focus on is the things you do get in the IF3 masters 55 plus. So, but I don't know it well enough yet as to whether that is the case and that it's permanent, and that, in the European version of it, they might throw in the sideways hand. I don't know. I don't know. In the championships, we had to do pirouettes, and we learned those in 3 weeks, and God knows how, but it actually worked on the day. But just fell over the line. But so for this actual test, we've got one rope, we've got normal rope climbs, but we have got handstand walks. So I'm really pleased we've got handstand walks, because that is a really good skill that you won't get in a lot of regional competitions. You might not even get in some international competitions, to be honest. So the fact that we've got this at IF3 really makes me happy. And rope climbs, rope climbs are brilliant and very hard. So to combine those two things, I think it's a really good test for me. Anyway, it's a challenging test. It's definitely a challenging test. It'd be a challenging test for everyone.
So once again, putting my media hat back on, I'm assuming someone will post some clips of people doing sideways handstand walks. Do you think that it's kind of one of those things where once people start doing it, it gets posted, it circles around a bit online? Do you envision that being something that would pop up at other competitions, that this is something that they might go, let's throw, because like pirouettes kind of came in and then you started seeing them everywhere. Like they just were like, oh yeah, we can do that. And it just feels like with handstand walking, they're constantly looking at what can we add? Like what can we add to make this, kind of how can we throw it? So it's just something different. It's not just a race on who's quickest on their hands.
It depends on the arena as well, because sideways handstand walks can be a bit precarious, I would think. If you've got a big arena, you can get away with it. But I'm looking at Southampton box, for example, where there's a major competition, and I'm thinking if they did sideways, they'd have to have 3 ambulances outside, I think, just waiting for the collisions. But I mean, I think you're right, Jason. This is what happens, isn't it? You see it somewhere and then they come up somewhere else. So
I was just wondering, I was just trying to look and see, because they talk about the pirouette being within a designated area. So I am curious, because quite often with handstand walks, it's that finger just tapping the line of of the bay next to you, and that's kind of costing you the rep. So I would, and you raise a good point. I'd be curious to see the dimensions that you are given to work with.
They specify that. They do specify that in some.
Do I need to read the PDF? Oh,
not necessarily, but I think for masters, you can go 2.5 meter depths with your handstand walking. But with anyone under that, I think they have to do the full 10 meters unbroken.
Oh, but I mean, like the width of your
the lane,
like how
for the
much
pirouette.
space? Yeah, or no, not so much for the pirouette, because they've said designated area for that. But I'm just thinking, like you've got to walk sideways. How across a line do you need to be when moving sideways? How many steps forward, steps back can you take?
You'll have a lane
yourself sideways.
You'll definitely have a lane. It'll be the lane.
How vicious will they be with like your fingernail grazed that line? So go back to the start.
It wouldn't. I mean, if they're doing something as hard as sideways handstand walking, and I say that again as somebody who's not amazing at handstand walks, and who struggles on it, but then, as you touched on, people are just getting so good at this stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if it is like a meter, maybe max meter and a half.
Meter square, I would have thought.
Yeah. I think it'd be tight.
And with the number of athletes that are going, and I really do like this. What I like, or what again, media viewpoint, like quite often don't listen to this, Troy, but I don't always care who actually wins a competition. What I look for the moments within the competition that really stand out to me. So when you're splitting up the tests in this way, and the best of the best at skill and the best and the strongest and the one with the biggest endurance capacity, like they will all get their moment to shine. Whereas you might be amazing at handstand walks, but if you've got to get through a heavy barbell before you get to them, we might never get to see it, kind of thing.
True.
So with the number of athletes that are going to be descending upon Budapest for this event, there will be some people that can walk on their hands as well as they can walk on their feet, and this will just be their opportunity to really just show you how easy a sideways handstand walk is. What's wrong with you? I mean, the first time I saw a backwards handstand walk in competition was, I think, at Sid Origins, where one of the girls did the handstand walk to the end and just then walked back. Like, you had to go basically to the end and back, and was quicker just by going down one way and then just quickly coming back without turning around.
That's insane.
And so, so you put someone like that on this, I mean, this is what I'm really looking forward just to watching, because I think it will be fun to see. But also I get scared whenever I see people, like, especially having to descend a rope climb without using their legs and getting tired.
There is a marker, by the way, where you can't just jump from the top. You have to go to a certain length down, and then you're allowed to release
beneath 3 meters. They've got to go back legless.
That's correct.
Okay. Let's just moving on. Mixed. Define mixed for me with regards to it being a test.
So I guess that just means that's like your classic, what people might describe as a really classic CrossFit workout. So as you can see here, we've got multiple different movement patterns. I would actually personally say this isn't as mixed as I would quite like it to be, because actually you've only really got 3 patterns here. Like doing thrusters and doing wall balls, it's the same pattern. Sure, the barbell's a decent weight, so that's going to be much tougher in the middle, but I would have liked to personally see maybe a clean in there, or burpee box jump overs, or like a lunge. I think that would have been a bit more interesting personally. But yeah, that is like your classic kind of mixed up CrossFit workout where you've got a breadth of different movements, different skills in there, which is kind of fun.
Yep. So we've got, I didn't even read what it was. So it's 15 or 12 ring muscle ups, 30 wall balls, too many wall balls, 30 toes to bar, 30 thrusters, 30 toes to bar, 30 wall balls, and then finishing with another 15 or 12 ring muscle ups. And I'm guessing that's been adapted just basically weight wise for some of the other divisions, although, as Troy has already lamented, those rings might disappear for some people. And
unfortunately, because that would have been the perfect workout. I love thrusters for some strange reason. I'm a bit sadistic like that, but I absolutely love thrusters. And wall balls are similar. And we've been giving toes to rings instead of toes to bar. I can't get my head around that, if I'm quite honest with you, but I would have loved toes to bar and ring muscle ups. But yeah, it's a mixed workout, which which would have to be well paced. But I like the look of it, to be honest. Don't know what James thinks in terms of my perspective, but I quite like the look of it on initial face value. But you can fall into the trap, can't you? Every time you see a CrossFit workout or a test, and think, that looks right up my wheelhouse, and then you do it and you think, what the hell was you thinking of? Do you know what I mean? So many times I've been humbled by this sport, so I'd never take it for granted anymore.
I think for Troy, like this, I think the individual workout is it's really all about the ring muscle ups at the end. You've got 30 total there. You're fatigued by this time because you've done a bunch of other tests over the days. Even if you handle that volume really well, there's going to be fatigue. And there's a lot of work to get through by the time you get to those ring muscle ups, where your shoulders will be very tired, your grip will be tired from those toes to bar. So 15 ring muscle ups at the end, people are not going to be doing those unbroken at that point. There's going to be breakup. And so you have to very much pace to be like, how is that going to feel for me? For Troy, by them taking that out, that becomes a very different test. And so without those ring muscle ups, I think that you, and obviously sort of case specific, you're pushing harder actually in many ways throughout the workout. I think in his age group, the second set of 30 toes to bar will become a bit of a, I don't know, 60 yeah, it will play in at that point. I think grip fatigue will be obviously bigger based on over the days, due to, you know, decreased recovery capacity as you age. It will be playing in more, so his hands are probably going to feel a bit more beat up in their own way. So that second set of toes to rings will be tougher, but toes to rings are significantly easier than toes to bar. So I do agree with him. I think it's a bit of a, I do think it's a bit boring, short-sighted, whatever phrase you want to use to.
Bit of a shame.
Yeah, I think it's a shame. I do think it's a shame to scale them back, because I think that these athletes are more than capable. As you raise, Troy, like, you know, you're able to do rope climbs and walk on your hands. Toes to bar are definitely down on the skill tree compared to that.
Yeah.
But all I'll say for you is that last 30 wobbles is going to be nasty, very nasty.
Yeah, you got to shut your eyes and just get on with it.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Here's a question for you then, and there might not be an answer, or you might have an opinion on this. Considering we've dissected all the different elements that make up kind of what is a classic functional fitness workout, let's put it that way. And so we've got our endurance piece, and we've got our strength piece, and we've got our skills. When we combine it to become mixed, and then you look at specifically this workout, do you feel, so the person who's, you know, done very well in the skill test or the strength test or the endurance, do you see that maybe this is tailored, that the person that did particularly well in one of the other tests will also do better in this mixed workout? Or do you feel there's enough variety that actually you do need all those different elements to do well? Or do you think you could predict, like, oh, the person that won this test, they're gonna, if not win this, finish very high?
My opinion is no. I think that it's been well designed. I think I'm actually really interested. I really interested in the way that you think there, because that actually might be part of the design process that they go through for mixed, to go, this shouldn't favor anyone. Now, I would obviously look at that and you go, if you're good at toes to bar and you're good at squatting, you're probably going to do pretty damn well in this. And that's where I'd like to see, personally, would like to have seen that they did 30 front rack lunges of that weight instead, or a hinge movement or something else that's just, you know, power clean, something like that, because then you're changing up the pattern a bit more. But yeah, I think it's interesting that, I look at that and go, you've got to be relatively strong. You've got a heavy-ish bar there. You've got to be decent at gymnastics. You've definitely got to be fit. Like, you've got to have some good aerobic capacity. And with 30 reps at a time, you've definitely got to think about pacing strategy. So even if you were really all of those things, if you go out too fast, you're going to redline and throw it all away.
Yeah, that's good.
Jason, just to your point, actually, because there's one element we're not considering here, because we're talking specifically about the workouts and what's good for an athlete and what isn't good for an athlete. But if you're organising a tournament where you've got 800 athletes, you've got only a certain amount of floor space and equipment. So they must also have to look at the transitions from workout 1, workout 2, workout 3, workout 4, and how that's all going to fit. And in with this scheduling with 800 athletes. So maybe that influences some of the decisions here as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I was thinking about that when I was looking at the time caps as well, because we've got 18 minutes for your endurance piece, but again, you just need a rower and a rower and a biker. So how many athletes can you run? I don't know how many they've got, but you could potentially, you know, pack the competition floor full of rowers and bikes and run more heats than you could with, perhaps, you know, when you need space to do handstand walks. But then we've got a 12-minute cap. I think an 11-minute was one of them. Yeah, 11 minutes. What's that? 6-minute skill one. Now we've just said 12 minutes for the mix. So they're also all relatively short and we've only got power left, which is even shorter. So, you know, I guess argument could be made, well, hold on, if we're testing endurance, shouldn't we have something, you know, longer than 30 minutes at least to kind of test that? But then you have to times that by however many heats they're going to run, and that could be, you know, a long day of just watching people on a...
Could be a 4-day competition then,
also, we just have to address Steve Smith's comment here. All his favourite people in one place. So that's nice.
That'll be Seb the Paola based on his second comment there. How you
doing, Sebo? Hi, Sebo.
Yeah,
he's a good lad.
I don't know how I've snuck in as his favourite media personality. That's
just take it, Jason. Take it, because you won't see that.
I will. Yeah. I'm updating my bio right now as we speak.
Seb's favourite.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think that. So I'm really happy with your answer there, because obviously, we met at Rogue, Jason. Yeah, we did.
You see.
Yeah. Okay.
There's validity to it.
That's all it takes to become his favourite.
He loves it.
I saw him at Rogue as well.
Oh, did you?
Helping out. Yeah, he was helping out there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, because the Buttery Bros were at Rogue as well, so I could have easily been supplanted as his favourite very quickly, but that didn't happen. Yeah, I would say as a mediocre athlete, when I look at it, obviously I can see my weaknesses and my strengths and be like, oh, that's the thing that would stop me, and therefore that's the thing that someone who's good at that would excel at, and that's why they beat me in the workout. But it's nice to have that kind of pull back look of, no, actually, looking at the tests that have come before, looking at how they structured this, it really is what it says on the can. It's mixed, and we're going to see so I would be so interested to see who wins that, and then where they come overall in the competition. Like, I think that would be an interesting one to see, the correlation, or how well do they do in all the other of it. Like, if you're the best at mixed, how sorry, Buttery Bros on that.
You can start a war with that comment, sir.
Yeah, so I think that would be interesting, like, to see, okay, you won mixed, and maybe you didn't win any of the other workouts, but you finished always in, like, the top whatever % of all the workouts, and then where does that land you at the end of the event?
Yeah,
I think our particular mix, it could be massively different, because if there was ring muscle ups in there, I think that would be a different workout.
Yeah, don't worry. We will start our petition for 2025.
Come on, Jason. I'm relying on you.
Troy, I've already drafted the email, Troy. Don't worry.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for your support.
Yeah. And there'll be like a whole thing over the person that, if for whatever reason Troy doesn't win, let's jump to that parallel universe where he doesn't win this event, we will, we'll be like, well, did that person really win? Because actually they were never tested.
It was a different competition.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen?
If he'd just done the open division, he'd have won the whole thing.
Exactly.
I'm going to have these other competitors pat me on the back and say, oh, isn't it good that we haven't got ring muscle ups? I just know it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then you add them to your list. All right. Individual test 6, power. This.
Oh, yeah.
This is awful.
What a way to go. What a way to end.
This is that, like, short, sharp, not only like how much power can you put out, but also just how willing are you to let this sort of hit you at the end when you
on your last legs. Day 3,
those final calories, just so 5 shuttle runs, 10 meters down and back, 20 deadlifts, 140, so a decent enough weight, and 20 as well. Oof. And then 15 calories on a bike erg. Do they then have to sprint to a finish line, or does it finish on the... Okay, good.
Yeah, you have to sprint to a finish line,
Yeah.
Which will be interesting after you've sent it on a bike erg like that. Like, there'll be some...
That's going to be great for you, Jason.
Yes.
You're going to love that.
Yeah.
Be looking to see who has the most pain on their face before getting off the bike, so you know who to watch and which lane they're going to like veer off into as they're trying to cross the finish line. Thoughts on this as a test of power?
Troy,
For me, this test is probably the scariest one of all of them for me. Not specifically for me, but you've got so little room for error. It's going to be a very fast test, and you just need to, something happens, your shoelace comes up. I mean, just one thing, and you just can't get that back. So you've got to be spot on with execution. On the shuttle runs, you've got to go for it. You can't dilly-dally. Some of these workouts in the open or whatever have had shuttle runs, and it's really just get through them, 50 shuttle runs, and then but on this one, it's just full pout, full blast. But on the other hand, there's nothing there that worries me in the elements of it. I just know you can't leave anything on the table. This is like the last workout of the tournament. This could be the difference between gold and silver, silver and bronze, bronze and nothing. It could really make a massive difference, this one workout. So this is where I've got to be as focused as any. It's like the 100-meter runner, isn't it? 9 seconds. It reminds me of that sort of feeling. And 3 days of competition come down to 3 minutes. That's basically what it is.
Oh, I'm sure you'll have it wrapped up before then. Don't worry. It won't come down to that.
I think there's a few other people that would like to say otherwise.
And I do like the idea that you're like, and in the end it was just because my shoelace wasn't tied properly.
And the ring muscle ups, don't forget them.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I'll tell you what, if anybody trips on a shoelace during this workout, that is because, I mean, it's a 3-minute workout. You've had plenty of time to prep for it. Double knot should not be the
triple
thing.
Knotted.
There's a top tip there. There's a top tip.
Yeah, the problem is, you triple knotted it, but you've tied them together.
Yeah.
That'd be the worst. That really would.
Yeah. So
I mean,
shuffle runs instead of shuttle runs.
Literally. Sandbag race.
Yes. Now that would be a test of power.
This I really like as a test. As a coach and as an athlete, I know it would be absolutely horrendous. I think, Troy's hit it on the nail on the head. It doesn't really matter who you are. This is going to suck. If you're good at this, it's really going to suck. And if you're bad at this, it's also really going to suck. But like that is the test. I think I like that they've done shuttle runs. And I like that 10 meters is a bit longer than what we're used to in the open, which is like 7.6 because it's 25 feet, which means you can get a bit more acceleration before you have to then decelerate for the line. I think transitions, you'll see people who are good at footwork. It will matter actually on those transitions a bit. I think in the Indy there, that weight on the deadlift, I think the best of the best can probably do that unbroken, but I think that outside of maybe the top, I'm making complete ballpark here, and again, I'll probably be proved wrong, but it's good to just put an opinion out there, isn't it? Like, I'd say the top 7 or 8 may go unbroken, or top 10 will go unbroken, but then outside of that, I think that you would see drop off. You'll see people having to break that deadlift. And I just look at that and go, maybe they should have gone a bit lighter to actually basically allow like more people to just go unbroken. Because I do look at that and go, people will be strength limited by that. And the test is power, not strength. I would like it so that actually people were like, no, I'm going unbroken on that bar. It's going to suck to do it, but I'm going to do it. And then it's sell your soul on that bike. Like absolutely sell it. And it really does come down to how hard you can go there. I think for Troy's category, the weight is much reduced. So they drop weight each category. And on Troy's, he's got 80 kilos on that bar, which means he's 100% going unbroken. And I can't really see anyone in his
You haven't
category.
told me that yet, James. That's what I'm doing, is it? Yeah.
There you go, mate. First to hear. You've got to go unbroken.
All right. Thanks very much.
Yeah. So, excuse me while I just throw up. It's and that again is where I just think again you just see this sort of discrepancy between like individual and masters. Whereas I feel like if that weight for Troy's bar was 90 to 100, it gets a lot more like, can you actually hold on to that? And it depends on whoever's written this workout, what exactly they were looking for from that. So it's like, do you increase the master's weight or do you bring down the indie weight? But I feel like those tests have maybe diverged a bit again there in terms of what they're going to get from the athletes.
So you would have quite liked to see. It's funny because every time you've sort of said, this is my issue with it, this is what I would like to see, adjusted, it tends to fit to the 19 to 20 division. So again, you've gone with the 120 on the dead. So like for you, that would be the workout. And it was similar when we were talking about like the 25% reduction of the round, where we were like, oh, but actually the age group one, they've just knocked off a couple of reps.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's easy to criticize somebody else's work, right? Like I write throwdowns, I write programming for people. Troy will absolutely let you know I balls it up sometimes. Sometimes there's typos, and sometimes it's just you write something and it just doesn't pan out the way you think it will. And that is both the joy and the pain of CrossFit. It's why you carry on doing it. Really, it's fun to do. But I do think that there is just this big drop after around the 55 age category that just doesn't need to be as aggressive. What I do think IF3 do brilliantly is that they have graduated pretty much every 5 years in the master categories. There's a little drop off, and that is something that CrossFit. Why CrossFit don't do that, I do not know, because it's like you understand that you're not 25 anymore, so we've put you in a master's category, but there's no change on skills, weights, anything until you hit 55, and suddenly it just drops, and it's like it's just lazy programming, in my opinion.
It's just that we've got you competing with people of the same age. There you go, like that.
That's exactly.
Basically. So
whereas they do preserve stimulus better here in IF3, but I also think there are certain things that they could do to still improve that.
I'm looking forward to all the international comments you're going to suddenly start getting on like your XLab stuff, being like, oh, who wrote this workout? Oh, this is oh
god, I hadn't even thought. You know what? You know what? That's what a lovely problem to have. If I get people suddenly being like, you said this, but you're actually full of crap.
As I said, all engagement. It's all engagement. The algorithm doesn't know.
Bring it on.
All publicity is good publicity.
Exactly.
So, well, that's right. If something's gone wrong in the first 3 or 4 tests, and you're not going to win, then that's when the tying the shoelaces together for this final workout, and that might be a good idea.
I can't do it.
I might.
It'll at least get you some attention. Okay. So they're the 6 tests. So very quickly, we don't need to, the changes for the team are basically the kind of like tagging in and out system between, so 1 and 2 are going to go, and then 3 and 4 for the bike. I do love how suddenly, as soon as you start looking at teams, you just you get so many more little things to look at, because it's like, So snatches, they're doing as many as they can in 1 minute, and then they have to do thrusters. So that's that's quite a big change compared to the other.
That's very different. That's not really a strength test anymore. Like, that's much more muscle endurance.
1 minute rest to transition barbells, and then they've gone. So this is at 85 to begin with. So it's snatches at 85, and then thrusters at 85, and then it snatches at 60, and thrusters at 60.
Yeah, that's a very, very different test.
Total reps. So, okay. Body weight as well. They've got pistols, which we didn't see show up in the other.
No, and that's another shame. I would love that. There's always another year, right?
Yeah, I like that. Troy is just writing his ideal workout for 2025. He's just going to post it around like
probably that, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Ring muscle ups and pistols and handstand push ups. There you
Can you believe that workout? Does anyone need an extra player in the team?
Yeah. We'll ask Philroy if he needs to tag someone in for that workout, and then you can join the team.
I would have liked to see some single leg work somewhere, and pistols is probably the best way to do it in the individual competition, for sure. I think single leg pattern is heavily underutilized in CrossFit. And if you want to talk about a functional movement, whatever that is, you can't be really more pressed to find one than a lunge or a pistol.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so now we have to. I will have to. I haven't really looked at the team one as much because I've looked at the individuals. I've looked at the masters. So they've got a worm coming up in their mixed. So overhead squats, and then burpees over the worm. So I'm guessing the overhead squat is with the worm as well.
That's
overhead squats. That is going to be. Yeah. Okay. Oh no, hold on.
And laddering up as well, which is always tough.
Yeah.
Very tough.
Yeah, I might have just withdrawn from that team.
Yeah, so you've joined them for one workout, and then you'd be like, "Oh, my Achilles has gone. Sorry."
So he's like is it the grid league? He's a bodyweight specialist.
Just use me and abuse me when you need me.
Yeah.
Right. So they've got a mixed relay and then a second mixed relay. So we've got endurance, strength, bodyweight, mixed relay strategy. So they don't have skill, and they have strategy instead of power.
Yeah.
Cool.
So so I looked at scrolled down to strategy, and for the first thing I saw said 100 chest to bar. I was like, wow, that's but I mean they are a team, so athlete 1 and 2 complete 100 chest to bar, so it's still potentially 50 apiece. That's
that's juicy.
And 100 wall balls as well. Athlete, okay, hold on.
I like that.
1 and 2, 3 and 4, 2 and 4, 1 and 3. So yeah, who have you got snatching? Who have you got doing your I got quite. We were talking about not having a length of time. That's a 30-minute workout.
Yeah. But how many people are in the team, Jason? There.
It's just 4, isn't it?
4, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I really like that actually. Like from a tactical point of view, as they say, strategy, right? Looking at that and going, right, who's doing what? How are you breaking that down? I think that's
strengths.
Cool. Yeah. And the fact so athlete 1 will be working first and last as well. So you've also got it's interesting because you've got to think about who's best at what movements, who's going to benefit the most from having the most rest between movements, who can go straight in. So like athlete 4 has to go from 100 wall balls and 50 cleans straight into toes to bar and snatches. So it's not even as simple as, which movement do you like? Okay, you do this, you do this, you do this. There's so many layers. So that will be
I think that's really cool.
So it definitely deserves its name, strategy. Okay, finally we're here, Troy. Masters. So your row is exactly the same. Your bike and row is the same.
Yeah.
The strength we've said is different because you've got 4 minutes, so you just don't have an EMOM at all.
We just get to the strength for
a max snatch and hang snatch.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Yeah. So
and it's 4 minutes. 4 minutes. So no, it's no issue.
Yeah, 4 minutes. It's a good chunk of time, but
you're getting probably 3 lifts in there, I'd say.
Yeah.
And it does say nothing obviously about the warm up and stuff like that, but you've only got 4 minutes to get it. I presume like any other competition, you've got your warm up areas and time to get to a certain level before you get on the dance floor.
So with that, is your approach very much going to be like get one on the board that that you're comfortable with, get one that you think is going to be a good score, and then one that is
broke.
Yeah. And then if you get that and you still got a little bit of time, there's some 1.25s lying around, stick them on and go again.
4 minutes is tight. So to be honest with you, if I get 3 lifts in, I'd say I've done well. Normally it'd be 2. And actually I have done a very heavy lifting warm up and then I try slightly heavier for my first one. But it depends what I've done in warm up and how I'm feeling, especially with the snatch. But if I'm feeling really good and I have a day like 2 weeks ago, it could be really good. But it depends, because this is after the row I take it, so I don't know how it works in timings. One might be the morning, and then this is in the afternoon. I mean, we don't know the schedule yet. I looked to see if I could help you with that today, but on Circle 21, it doesn't let us know the schedules yet.
I
But
think that's go on.
And you can decrease the weight as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because sometimes it will be like, you can load up a barbell, but you cannot.
Yeah.
You cannot go back. But at least, so actually, if you want to go big early doors and
just chill.
and then, and if it doesn't work out, you're like, okay, I'll just knock a little bit off.
Yeah.
My eyes were bigger than my stomach on that one. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So that's probably one of the biggest changes we've seen. Then body weight, 20 pull-ups, 10 handstand push-ups. What are we? 55, 59. No deficit.
So just regular handstand push-ups for Troy.
Yeah. And you can keep all of them if you like. So
yeah.
And then 15.
Yeah, that's not a high volume of handstand push-ups, just 10 each round.
Well, and also you're only doing 3 rounds as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
So there's only 30 handstand push-ups. So that's,
you'll be knocking that out for fun, yeah.
They're relatively easy. So I tend to do half kips with these things, just since the standards are closer to the wall. I haven't read that actually. I presume it's similar standards, but I don't know that. I haven't read that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see if there's a tape line or what.
Yeah, if there's a tape line, it's very bad of me not to be able to say that. But only 10. It's a shame because I've been to many competitions where at my age now they put a cushion down there, so you've actually got a bit of a help. So I'm grateful that at least it's normal handstand push-ups.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just saying, I'd have to go to the PDF to find out the exact standard that they've got for the push-up, and if you're going to be how they're going to measure that out for you. But whatever it is for you, it will be the same for everyone else. So that's
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Skill. What have we got? So, let's jump to your category. 50 to 50. So 1 rope climb, handstand walk, 2 rope climbs, handstand walk, 3 rope climbs. You don't have to go forwards or back. You don't have to go backwards or sideways or anything. Just handstand walks.
Just straight forward. Can you believe it, Jason? Can you believe it? I mean, I might just go backwards for the fun of it. Like to get back to the rope. What
were you going to ask, James?
One thing that is unclear on the document is so it says 6 minute AMRAP, but then it also says time cap 6 minutes. And
so what happens is if you finish if you go through, you then start again and go back to 1 rope climb, 10 meter.
I'm unsure on that because the individual one was for time. Yours is saying AMRAP, but then it says time cap 6 minutes. So I don't know which one it is.
It's here.
And that is a difference.
After completing the AF, we'll start from the beginning with 1 rope climb, continue that until.
Okay. So it is an AMRAP.
It goes back to the beginning. Yeah.
But then the individual one was just for time. So again, that's a bit of a change up there.
Yeah.
So maybe what would have been cool would be to incorporate some of those. If you're a 60 to 64, you can just do a walking lunge. There you go.
Which again, I felt was scaled back too far. Like I'd at least make that like a wall walk or something that's on the hands. Like a walking lunge is just a very different pattern.
Or like a bear crawl. Isn't that usually the scaled version?
I've seen that one as well. Yeah, but wall walks is good shout.
Yeah. But maybe like, okay, you got through all of that. If you do that, then there's just have the next round increase the challenge and say, okay, well, you managed to do that. Now we're going to bring in some of these other skill elements.
Exactly.
Well, I thought at least they go 4 rope climbs, 5 rope climbs. If you can do more, keep going up. So I was surprised they went back to 1. But that's good for me because if you're good at handstand push-ups, you can just keep banging them out. And the hardest bit is the rope climbs, I would have thought, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so they could have turned it into a 6-minute ladder, basically, with a ladder of increasing rope climbs with handstand.
And you could increase the distance on the handstand as well.
And I'm not saying this critically, by the way, because, I mean, literally, I've been to competitions. When you look at these workouts, I'm really happy with 99% of them. There's just these little things, obviously, that in a perfect world for me personally. But, just it's just different ways of looking at things, isn't it?
For sure.
Oh, look at this. So you see, you've got the rings from 30, 45, 50.
Yeah.
And then they just disappear. They just disappear completely.
And that's what I don't get. It's like they'd laddered it down by 3 per age category. So they've gone 15, and then they've gone to 12, then they've gone to 9. I was expecting to see 6. And I just think it's a different workout when you take those rings out.
Yeah,
because
they've
6
not
ring muscle ups
put
when you're tired.
anything in. So
No.
wall balls, toaster bar, thrusters, toaster bars, wall balls. So there isn't.
Yeah.
There's just nothing. There's no.
Yeah.
And you've got the same time cap.
Hmm.
So it's not even okay.
Yeah,
Less
but
work, do it
at
faster.
our age group, they will be slower, obviously. So there is that to consider. But yeah, I think it's a shame.
Okay, I will give you that they'll be slower. Troy, you're slow. I get it. Don't worry. But it's the same time cap, and the 50 to 54. The men will have had 9 ring muscle ups to begin, 9 to end.
Yeah.
18 ring muscle ups. It's a lot.
And then 18 ring muscle ups, and you don't think that maybe they could knock a minute off your time cap with removing that? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
Or put some ring muscle ups in, or if not a ring muscle up, then I don't know.
Bar muscle up, I thought.
Bar muscle up, or some
chest to bars, some sort of gymnastics in there.
I mean, even a ring row at this point.
I wouldn't say chest to bars because we've had pull-ups. We had pull-ups in the.
Yeah, very true. Well, as I say, I think there should be muscle ups in there because again,
bar muscle ups would have been a sensible one because
for sure.
I think most people in my age category can do bar muscle ups. If they can't, they shouldn't be in the World Championships finals. To be honest,
100%.
Could you have put ring dips in there at least, so you had that upper pushing part? Even if you're not having to transition above the rings, you could just jump into it. But at least it's it's the end portion of the muscle up, isn't it? So, and you could have let them kip them, and then if they can kip a ring dip, then that's very similar to the final portion. So I don't know. Anyway, we're not here to criticize. We're just well,
a little bit,
but we will. And then the final thing is the power test that we've talked about. 5 shuttles, 20 deadlifts, 15 cows. So that stays the same rep wise for everyone, I believe.
Yeah, it's just the weight,
and
it is just
the
deadlift
weight. Yeah,
so 120, and I mean the lightest, 65 plus, still pulling 60, so it's pretty good. But I mean they're not your average 65 plus, are they? They're
exactly
the best in the world 65 plus. So
I think an interesting thing that I saw here as well was actually on the women's side, specifically in Troy's category. The deadlift is extremely heavy for the women. So 65 to 80 puts their percentage again at that's like 75 to 80% of 80 kilos. It's way too high. In fact, it's about 80%. Whereas
70%, isn't it?
Moderate. So I don't know why they've done that. Like when I program workouts, we literally have a workout today actually that I'm doing this evening in class, and when I do 80 kilos for the lads, it's 55, maybe max 60 for the ladies, but 55 would be about appropriate because it's generally 65 to 70% of the men's weight.
Right.
So I think that the women are getting a bit shafted there, to be honest, and I think we'll see slower times there because of it.
Yeah, I've noticed on a few of the other workouts as well. Sometimes the drop when you've changed, between categories,
it's inconsistent.
For the women, it's maybe been a smaller drop between or a bigger drop between, and okay, well, and then so that's what Troy's looking forward to. Of those 6 tests, Troy, which one are you most looking forward to, and which one are you least looking forward to?
Oh, good question. Least looking forward to, I would say, endurance. Not for toughness, more for, well, I don't want to say boredom, but I'll have to have some good tracks playing in the background, I think, for that one.
I was going to say it's probably just because you're thinking, well, no one's going to get good footage of me. I'm not going to be showing up in any highlight reels.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I? Just look like everybody else on a bike.
A couple of bicycles first to be sorted.
And I know when we sprint for the line, you'll be lying there with the camera just waiting for me to fall over. Anyway. No, actually, is a good question. I would think the skill one I'm looking forward to, rope climbs and handstand walks. I really like the look of that one. And then it'll be the body weight one, of course, the body weight one. So yeah, tests 3 and 4, I would say, are the two that stand out for me.
Okay. All right. Well, people bookmark that, and I'll ask you those questions again after the competition.
Do you know what happens here, Jason? No joke. Every competition I do, the ones I think I'll do really bad at, I end up scoring higher than the ones I'm going to kill those ones, and I end up doing really badly in them. So yeah, it's really funny how these things work out sometimes.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'll clip all of this. I'll have to work. I'm going to write it all down so I know which one. We of course then we have the juniors division.
Yeah,
I like
juniors.
I like juniors as a word. I always feel that when I've had like these athletes on the show in the past that maybe now even, I've had like Dallin Pepper, James Sprague that are games athletes now, but when I look up their CrossFit kind of profile, they all competed in the teen division, or as CrossFit lovingly calls it, the boys division, which I like boys and girls. It just feels very kind of I just don't like it. So I quite like juniors. That feels, I don't know, it sits better with me.
You say boys and girls, and then you see the weights they're throwing around, and they're not very boy or girly. It's it's ridiculous. They're good athletes, very good athletes.
Yeah. Well, you've got like Molly Butcher going as part of the British squad. I mean, she's got like an 80-kilo snatch. So just like whatever, right? It's just ridiculous. Like I've got 20 years on her, and she's got 20 kilos on me, so it's not fair. Right. That's the only one where they adjust the meters on the bike and the row.
Yeah.
Which is but I mean we're talking here 12 to 14, so that makes sense. They've got similar to you, so they've got a bit of a mix. They've got the snatch, the hang, and then a thruster in their 4 minutes. Oh no, that's the 12. So the 12s have a thruster.
Right.
The ones before have got the one snatch and one hang snatch, so similar to your group.
That's an interesting change. I don't know why they've done that. Because I understand maybe you would view that as a safer movement pattern to do a thruster, but actually, like if kids are doing CrossFit, they generally move really well a lot of the time. They actually do move really well. Often better than the masters. No offense, Troy. So,
but also a 3-rep max thruster.
That's horrible.
Ugh.
I did that. We've done those. That 3rd rep is awful.
This to me screams one of the programmers has a child that is 12. and they've really been misbehaving. They've really been misbehaving recently. And they were like, all your friends are going to get to snatch, and you're going to get buried under a bar 3 times.
Think about what you've done.
Body weight again. It's much simplified: box jumps, handstand push-ups, pull-ups. It's again
with the ladder,
with like an AMRAP style. Skill, they get ring muscle ups.
God damn it!
But from the 12th, they don't have a skill test.
Interesting.
Yeah, which again is interesting. If somebody comes from like a gymnastics background, they've probably been walking on their hands from the time they were like 4 years old, so they would. They'd be amazing at that.
Yeah.
And then their mixed is rope climbs, wall balls, power cleans, rope climbs, walking lunges, wall walks. There they've got the wall walks.
Yeah, really interesting that they've changed around the ropes and the muscle ups. I don't know what the reasoning or rationale behind that was.
Well, that will be something we'll ask. We'll have to ask
that. I'm actually thinking that might well be a logistical thing. So I think we're going to see different athletes or different groups doing different tests at different times, and it actually might just be a logistical thing of different arenas to put them in, or
we've
different
got no space to do things. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But then they still get the same shuttle deadlift and
finale. Yeah.
But again, the under 12s don't do the power test. The 12 and under, I should say. So they've only actually got 4 tests.
Yeah.
But I mean, that also makes sense from the, putting them through 6 tests over a weekend is a lot for
it's a lot mentally, isn't it?
Yeah. as a father of an 11-year-old, I would say it's. I think he'd be complaining after 4 tests. He'd be like, "Oh look, Dad, come on, let me go home."
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah,
I mean, Troy will be.
I'm not doing any of the tests, so I'm just.
I'll come up to you and say, Jason, Dad, I've had enough.
Help.
We're like, Troy, you wanted to come, so we're going to finish. You finish all of the tests. You made us come all this way. Well, exciting. So I guess all that's left now is just to watch you actually put yourself through this. So that will be fun.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I can't tell you. I'm so excited.
And this is the most I've analyzed workouts before going to a competition. Normally, I just turn up and I'm like, "Oh, what are they again? What are we looking for?" All right. So we'll see if it helps me cover the event better now that I've actually really looked carefully at all the workouts. Are you going to be there, James, or you'll be on the phone?
Sadly, we have an in-house throwdown here that it's the way the dates fell, and I've already had it in the air for Troy. I'm full of guilt and shame on that because I really did want to come out and see him, but unfortunately we have a throwdown that I'm running here. But I will be catching live streams and such when I can, and I've also bought I bought one of the IF3 t-shirts, so that kind of supports the
bless you.
Helps them with that. So I'll be wearing that all weekend and sending.
Oh, fantastic!
He hasn't told you which team he's bought it for yet, Troy. So.
Oh yeah, is it the Finland one, James?
It's actually it's the Hungarian team. Sorry, mate.
All right. Well, I haven't bought a t-shirt, Troy, but I will be there. So together,
James, did we see any of your posts this weekend from XLab and you haven't got that t-shirt on now? You're just going to be in for it, you know that.
Well, I'll be switching in our t-shirts because I've got to be on brand in the gym.
Oh, here we go.
I'll make sure that I'll make sure it gets some love. Don't you worry about that.
Okay. So everybody go and give James a quick follow on Instagram just so you can hold him accountable for what he said. Okay. Well, thank you very much, James and Troy, for joining me. So I could lean on your wealth of experience with regards to these workouts.
Thank you, Jason.
Well, all that's left now is for us just to go and get it done, right? So
yep.
Absolutely.
Oh. Let's have some fun. We've done all the hard work. This is the fun bit.
Absolutely.
I like that you say we. Yeah, man. I've
that leg work that I've done.
Yeah. All those streams I've had to put out, all those invitations I've sent online. It's been really challenging. No, wonderful. So I will be there. I will be recording a lot of interview. Today we were talking. I was having a nice chat with the media director and people that are there. So I know we'll have access to some nice branded area to do interviews and different things. So hopefully, if Troy performs well enough, he might appear in an interview.
No pressure.
You hear that, Troy? You got to be good enough, mate. Come on.
I know.
Step up.
Yeah, but if unfortunately, like James, you are occupied and you can't get in, I'm hoping to be able to put out some kind of vlogish style something where you'll see kind of what's going on at the event in general. Hopefully, we'll put out athlete interviews and then maybe just kind of a little recap each day as well with how the events have gone and stuff like that. So if you're only here because you love Troy and everything he does, or you're here to hold James accountable for his criticisms on programming and you don't follow me already, jump onto the YouTube or the Instagram and give it a follow so that you can catch all the stuff that will be happening at the IF3 Worlds in Budapest, Hungary in less than 2 weeks' time. So very exciting. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you again to Troy and James, and all the best, Troy. And we're looking forward to seeing you win. And if you don't win, we know it's because they didn't let you do ring muscle ups.